I'm going to introduce the English opening. This is one of the most common opening. If you look at the database at chess.com, so yeah, English opening starts with pawn to c4 as a first move, and this is one of the top four popular openings in the database, followed by like e4, d4, knight f3. So e4, d4 are the most popular one, but some players also would choose c4. So this is what I'm going to introduce in this video, and it's more about how we play as black and how we can respond with this opening. So c4, I'd like to say something about this move. How is it special? So one of the chess opening theory, I would say the most important one, that is controlling the center. This is very important. So that's why, like most of cases, white will play e4 or d4 to control the center with the pawn. So that's why these two moves are the most famous or most popular. So c4, this c pawn is, I mean, close to center, but it's not at the center. So the reason or the purpose white playing this move is to have flexibility, um, in the opening. And what do I mean? So when I say flexibility, that means the player doesn't want to make the choice or decision at the very beginning to say I move the king pawn or I move the queen's pawn. Okay, so I will hold my strength of these two pawns, if I put it this way. So once the game develop, so it depends on how I develop pieces, how my opponent develop pieces. I can decide later. Should I push the e pawn to e3, e4, or d3, d4? Okay, so this is the main purpose white playing c4 as a first move, and also this pawn opening up this diagonal so white can develop the queen very quickly. So that's how special about this opening. So I will introduce like three main variations that black can respond with this c4. So first of all, I will recommend is e5, and people sometimes call that reverse Sicilian because it's just Sicilian but in the reversed version. So in Sicilian, white play e4, black play c5, but now black play e5, white play c4. Okay, so we can just follow like some basic moves in Sicilian. So for example, knight c3 and knight f6. So I also see some cases white play g3, white doesn't play knight c3, white just develop this like square bishop, collaborating with c4 pawn to control d5. And in this case, I would still recommend black playing knight f6, and then after bishop g2 we can play d5. And the reason is it's very similar as Sicilian. So if I play d5 at the beginning, why take my pawn? I will take that with my queen. Why probably play knight f3? Otherwise the rook will be captured. So the problem for black is white is going to play knight c3 to kick our queen, and it's not uh, it's not very good to develop our queen very early at the opening because it's a target, right? So your opponents can attack your queen and develop pieces. This is not what we want. So for example, if we play e4 to kick the knight, white will play knight c3. And how should we place our queen? We have to protect the pawn at the same time. So maybe knight e6, queen e6 or queen c6. But I would say either of the move has its own problem because queen e6 it blocks our light square bishop development. Queen c6 blocks our knight, and so that's the reason I recommend play knight f6 first and then play d5. This is very similar. 3 is more popular than d4 because if I play d4, the queen taking the pawn, black can kick our queen. As simple as that. So yeah, and we can follow the moves. It's just like Sicilian, and here white could play g3 to turning kind of dragon, structure. So we can deal pieces and short castle. So this is how we set up the plan for black. So the reason we play e5 is quite straightforward because white doesn't control the center as a first move. So why not we taking control of the d4? Yeah. So we have some other alternative, knight, the second variation, knight f6. Just take it as like queen's pawn opening, and we can like play e6, and then develop our d pawn. I am playing this very quickly because this is very straightforward, and it's very similar as some like queen's pawn opening. The only difference is white holding this d2 pawn. So white wants to make a choice later whether it should be played at d3 or d4. Okay, but from black's perspective, I think we can set up a very decent structure at the beginning. So we have our king in a safe place, knight developed, and this knight can go to c6 or d7. And also we have a very solid pawn structure. Our two bishops are developed. This looks amazing. Okay, and the third variation, maybe the easiest one to memorize, let's push the pawn to c5. We just copy the moves from white is going to do. So maybe not exactly the same, but we can basically building the same structure as our opponent, as you can tell. And here white can play d3, and the game will become very symmetric or the same for both sides, very balanced. Or white could push the pawn to d4. White wants to control the center, because I mean sooner or later we have to get back to the track of the principles. So we can take the pawn and knight to d4. So bishop to d7. We are supporting the knight, and so if we exchange the knight, the white queen can occupy the center. That's probably not good. So if we play d5, we can kick the queen away, but there is an outpost white can control. This is a weak square from our perspective. So we can play bishop d7, and it's also not good for white to initialize the exchange, because we can like take it with the bishop or the pawn, but regardless whether piece we take the c6, we will get this this b7 pawn closer to the center. And also there's a semi-open file black rook can utilize, collaborating with the bishop aiming at the queen side. So black has a very good structure. So most of cases, or most likely, white is like retreating the knight back to c2, potentially maybe in the future at some point pushing the b pawn. And black can castle and later move the rook to attack the semi-open file. Probably we can like set up a plan, knight a5, a6, b7 to attack the queen side, and we have a bishop aiming at a c3. So we have a very good piece development to attack at the queen side. Yes, so this is a very brief intro of the English opening.